Hello, my beautiful people. Today we will continue with the verbs, the present tense verbs conjugation, and we will move on to the conjugation number 3. And as you remember, there are 4 in total, so we're almost there. So what does conjugation 3 consist of? In conjugation 3, we have 2 groups with different endings. That's ach, ech, as we can see here in the slide, and they will have their specific verb endings, and they are completely different than the ones we've gotten to know so far. So let's have a look at them first. Group 1 that has the endings of ach will have those following endings. So ash. As you can see, for the third person singular, there will be no specific ending. We will just remove the last letter, and that's it. There's nothing to add on to the stem, so that's really cool as a difference, no? And then my, which is the plural of we, ame, ace, and on. As we can see in the third person plural, there's always that letter, Polish letter on. However, some of the verbs will also have the J letter added. And as usual, in the examples, we will see more. But before we get to the examples, we will have a look at the second group. And the second group that has the endings of ech will have those following endings. So they are similar to the previous ones. We basically just changed the a letter to e letter. So m, esh, nothing to add to the third person singular, then eme, ece, on for the third person plural. We always have on in the third person plural. And here instead of the J, we will be adding the double letter z, z. And remember, you must be familiar with the Polish double letters to be able to do anything in the Polish language. So make sure you check out my video on the double letters in Polish. Now we will look at some examples. So that's how we learn the verbs. That's the easiest way. So we will start with the verb znać. Znać, which is to know. So what do we do first? We know that we always remove the last letter of the verb, no? We do, exactly. And here we will do the same. However, in the conjugation number 3, we technically remove the second last letter too, which is in this case the letter a. So we will be removing ach. That's because, as you remember, we have no doubling of Polish letters, Polish vowels within the verbs. So within anything really. So that's that. And once we have the stem, we will be adding the verb endings. So as you can see here, I mentioned no doubling of Polish vowels, thus only one A will be present in the conjugated verb. Therefore, it is up to you how you will consider this verb, whether you will consider just removing the last letter chi and then adding the verb endings to the stem zna, knowing that you can't double the Polish vowels, or just remember that you need to remove the last 2 letters, in this case, ach, okay? And we will move on to see how this verb is conjugated. So how the verb znać will look. We have the stem zna, we add m, which is the stem of this one, so we have the verb znam. That's how we conjugate it, as we can see here. So, ja znam. Znam. Ty znasz. Znasz. On, ona, ono zna. So you see, we don't add anything special here because we remove the last letter as we've always been removing, which is the chi letter in the infinitives of the Polish verbs. So we remove the chi and we are left with the stem. And usually to the stem, we add specific endings as I marked them here in red. But as remember, we don't double the Polish vowels. So that's why we have only one A letter and not 2. So that's why we have in the third person singular just zna and nothing else, okay? Then we have my znamy, znamy, wy znacie, znacie. Oni, one znają, znają. Now let's see another verb. So now we know the verb znać, which is to know someone. For example, znam Ole, I know Ola, znam. Or you can say znam język polski. I know Polish language. Znam. So this is a very kind of universal to know verb, which is really handy to know it. So there we go. The next verb is mieszkać. Mieszkać, which is to live. MIESZKAĆ. Here we have the Polish sounds. They're so typical, so you must master it to be able to be understood easily, but particularly the double letters. I know I repeat myself a lot about it, but it's so crucial because sometimes if you mispronounce the double letter, it can change meaning. I've been there, I've seen that, I've heard that. So make sure that you master those, practice them before you, well, no, not before you speak away, always speak really fast, but make sure you know them. So mieszkać, what do we do when we conjugate the verb? Yes, we have to remove the last letter of the infinitive, which is the verb at the letter ci. No? So, and when we have the created stem, we will be adding the verb endings that you can see here on the screen, okay? So that's how we will be forming this verb. And as I've always mentioned, no doubling of the Polish vowels. So doesn't matter if you will, in your creation of verbs, have two vowels right beside each other. It doesn't matter. A and A cannot be beside each other. Two the same vowels cannot be beside each other. So remember that. How this verb will look at the end once we conjugate it according to those rules? Well, that's how it looks. Ja mieszkam. Mieszkam. Ty mieszkasz. Mieszkasz. On, ona, ono mieszka. Mieszka. My mieszkamy. Mieszkamy. Wy mieszkacie. Mieszkacie. Oni, one mieszkają. Mieszkają. And a next example, the verb is pytać, to ask. So you will know already what do we do at the beginning as a first step in the conjugation of our verbs. What do? Yes, indeed, we do remove the last letter of the infinitive. We need to add the adequate stem endings that you can see here marked in red. And remember, no doubling of the Polish vowels. And the final verb looks like this. Ja pytam. Pytam, ty pytasz, pytasz, on, ona, ono pyta, pyta, my pytamy, pytamy, wy pytacie, pytacie, oni, one pytają, pytają. So we have finished group 1 within conjugations number 3 of the present tense verbs in Polish. And in the next video, we will look at group 2 of this conjugation number 3. And basically, we will finish conjugation number 3. Isn't that good? I mean, some of the previous conjugations were quite difficult, a lot of exceptions. And here we are going smoothly. So happy to be here with you. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.